It's not what you can't do, it's what you can do. Let me just put that into a personal context as an introduction. When lockdown was first announced, it was a very great shock that I discovered that I was not able to go to Kingston Hospital as my work as a chaplain, because I just automatically assumed, understandably I think, that I would be there with those in the most need, those in intensive care, those very, very ill, those dying. But it was not to be. I've been at home, like many other people have been at home, quite frustrating, but still doing things, but not what I anticipated. Doing things in the background to allow other people to do things in the foreground. So as I started, it's not what you can't do, it's what you can do. And I've learnt a lot. Not with very good grace some of the time, but I have learnt a lot. And one of those things I've learnt is, I think I've always known it, of course I've always known it, but it's become clearer that Christians do not have a monopoly on goodness. But people of faith, our faith, and the teachings of the church, they offer a huge reservoir to draw upon. And I suspect we all have different ways of supporting ourselves in faith. And one of the things I have always done, but particularly doing at present, is to light candles, because it gives me a focus to think on what I want to think. And I light a candle every evening for those affected by this terrible pandemic. And on Sundays I light candles for my family. And on Sundays I go into the hospital, slightly illegitimately, but only straight up to the little chapel, to light candles and say prayers for those families that have asked us to do that, because we have an electronic candle stand there. And the other thing I have found, and from conversations with lots of people, I think this may be quite a constant theme, is with prayer. We will pray, we pray together, we pray by ourselves, we pray quietly, we pray noisily. We've always prayed. But for me, over these last months, prayer has become more outdoors. We've had a glorious summer, and more opportunity actually, just to pause and ponder and to pray. And we've been very blessed with the sun, warmth, beauty, those sort of things. And it's given us, or some of us, time perhaps to read a little bit more, to reflect a little bit more. For me, the Psalms are particularly helpful, the Sermon on the Mount likewise. And just because of things I'm interested in, I've been particularly focused on rereading poems or finding new poems, especially those related to bereavement. Because although I haven't been in the hospital, I've been very involved with issues of bereavement over these months. I'm the person at the hospital that takes baby funerals, and every single one, as you can imagine, is harrowing, but I cannot tell you the utter depth of the enormity of loss through this pandemic. It has just been double what it's always been. And also I've had family friends who've lost a family member, and there's been people in the hospital that I've been asked to take their funerals for. So the poems sometimes say things that ordinary speech can't. And I suppose the other thing I have been interested in, because it was an opportunity, was reading and rereading books to do with aging and sometimes what comes with getting older. That could be things like depression, isolation, poverty. They don't sound very uplifting things to read about, but they've been part of our experience. And I've learned and just gathered so much more, well, a lot more understanding. And faith, or my faith, has absolutely supported me with my struggle, very profound struggle with modern technology. It's a necessity. It's no good just saying it's too difficult, I can't do it. I do say that, but then I try and find a way. I need to say I've learnt not to ask my husband because he says it's obvious. Well, if it was obvious, I wouldn't be asking him in the first place, would I? But it's just, modern technology doesn't come easily to me, but I know it is important. So that's been a lot of my focus, because it's something that I could do to help myself and to help other people. But I have 5 guiding principles. I wonder if your 5 would be the same, or if they echo it. Kindness. I have learned, again, it's what you can do, little acts of kindness. All of us, I think, have the potential to be kind to ourselves sometimes, and obviously to others. And that lovely phrase, walking the extra mile. I don't take any pride that I have done that. I have watched and observed people in my own church, people in barns, colleagues, people in the hospital, and wider. Little acts of kindness. And alongside kindness, hardly surprising, goes generosity, giving a little bit of money. I know money can be very tight, but just giving a little bit of money, or a little bit of time, or some effort, perhaps very quietly, supportively, to a family in need, to a lonely person, to a charity. And I know many of you have done exactly the same. And then, likewise, appreciation. Appreciate the efforts of others. I don't particularly like banana bread, but I can tell you I have been very appreciative of the fact that I've had several deliveries of banana bread, which I've been able to share with other people, because we don't show enough appreciation of each other. And this has been an opportunity to really do that. And as we appreciate what other people do for us, we need to communicate our appreciation. I'm a believer in thanksgiving. Even in bad times, let's start being really thankful for what we have. And here in Barnes, well, I actually live in Sheen. Here in Barnes and Sheen, we have gardens, we have the park, we have the river, we have churches, wonderful that they're now open. There's Kingston Hospital not very far away, and a community that really has risen to the challenge, as well as our own families, friends and colleagues. And the thanksgiving I give for all of them, I've always had it, but it's really become very real. And it's reciprocal, which is most encouraging. And my last one is courage, because there's danger, and the danger hasn't gone. There's distress, almost despair sometimes, or you may be sitting or alongside somebody feeling very much in despair. We have to dig deep for courage. But God is with us. The courage is within all of us. We need to acknowledge it. We need to acknowledge the things we are facing, and we need to build resilience, and to continue to do so. In some ways, when the pandemic was at its highest, we had so much adrenaline. People just kept going. It's almost harder now, because the rules aren't clear, things keep changing, and there's still huge uncertainty, and we don't know where we're going. So I suggest that many of us, like that little mustard seed we heard about in the Gospel, that tiny seed, it grows very it just grows outwards into a big bush, and it gives shade, and it shelters the birds. Little things from a little seed. And our lives are full of little things. And you have no idea how big sometimes just a little thing can do. Something you say, something you give, something you do. You may never see the fruits of it. That doesn't matter. Just do it, because somebody else or something else will benefit from it. Because I would suggest that many of us have shared a raft of shifting thoughts and emotions. All those things like fear, sadness, exhaustion, concern, unsettledness, dismay. And I know some people have this is translated into very specific illnesses and a distinct lack of well-being. And for others, it could be a build-up of negativity, which is almost oppressive. And for many of us, possibly a sort of constant, hard to describe, but sense of slight distress. But we have been blessed. We've been blessed with warmth. We've been blessed with good people around us. And I think we need to remember, we're all on a journey. We here, particularly, are all on a journey of faith and a journey of survival, both individually and together. And we are all very, very blessed. And I just want very briefly to end with a story which you may well have heard many times before, very short. It's of the little child who was taken to see a sculptor by his parents, and all he saw was a big block of wood. Taken back a few weeks later, and there was a lion. And all he said to the sculptor was, "How did you know there was a lion in there?" Keep it with you. How do we know what we can do? How do we know what is in there? But be aware, be alert, and be brave. Amen.